Welcome into the coach's office. We got a great episode for you today as we welcome in David Crockett football head coach Hayden Chandley.
And it starts now.
The following is a special presentation of the coach's office.
I never punt on Madden.
Go Noles.
I don't even know what roll tide means.
I mean, let them in. What is there to lose? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Glad to have you in here. Why was everyone so concerned with the outfield play for the movie to be called Angels in the Outfield?
Where'd you get your shirt? Foot Locker? Uh-oh. Murphy's calling.
And now your hosts, Kyle Donahue and Matt Ripley.
How's it? Welcome inside the coach's office. My name is Kyle Donahue alongside Matt Ripley. We've got Coach Hayden Chandley today from the David Crockett football program. Coach, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank you for coming in, Coach. What made you get into coaching? What got you started there?
Growing up from a young age, just super involved in sports, multiple sports, and just fell in love with the game of football, and just always loved the counteract of your opponent. Just trying to get into your opponent's head, and always trying to be a step ahead. And just making sure that, our plan was always better than their plan, even as a player, and, just understanding why we done certain things that we did, whether that be in high school, when I was in college, and just fell in love with the fact of, just getting a team prepared to play, and out matching somebody, out preparing somebody. And that's just something that I fell in love with. And, I love working with kids, and, it's kind of fell into place for me here in the last few years, and I'm extremely blessed and thankful for that.
Awesome. So where did your coaching journey start? Can you kind of lead us from where you started to Crockett right now?
Sure, yeah. So, obviously I grew up in the great community, and went to Daniel Boone High School, graduated from there, and was fortunate enough to continue playing at University of Virginia's College at Wise, up in Wise, Virginia. It's now a D2 school. Just joining the SAC conference. Played there for 3 years. Was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to become a student assistant my last year there. Kind of one of those things. The writing was on the wall, and playing time was up. And the head coach and me had a very good relationship, and he knew that I wanted to be a coach and wanted to, go that route, and offered me a spot to help be on the staff and do some things, and took advantage of that. And the next year that led into a part-time role on the staff as a linebacker coach. And his old saying was, there's two types of coaches out there, coaches that have been fired and coaches that are going to get fired. And that happened at early on in my career. That first year out of college that I graduated, that I spent, which would have been the fall of 2016, the fall of 2015. We actually got fired at the end of that year. The whole staff did. So kind of a bump in the road there. But actually joined the military, the National Guard, the month after we got fired, and so kind of took a year off and done the whole military thing, and was gone for about 7 months, and came back and actually got a job with that same coach that I played for and coached for at Wise. He got the head football job at Bluefield College. It's an NAIA school in Bluefield, Virginia. Went up there and coached running backs, switched sides of the ball, coached running backs for him. Was fortunate enough to take a program that was 1-10 the year before we got there, and had only won 5 games in 5 years before we got there. They were actually 5-50 was their record over the previous 5 years before we got there, and we were able to go 6-5 in our first year. We were able to turn it around. We received votes in the national poll and done a lot of great things. That would have been the fall of 2017, and fast forward, the Crockett job came open, and, I was keeping my eyes on it, but, that was a heavy recruiting time for us as well. So, playing two birds there, but ended up coming open and sending my resume. And, even when I was young, playing in high school, I always wanted to be a high school head coach. And, coaching college was great, and it was fun. And, the recruiting aspect and, you don't have to worry about, teaching or anything else.
Yeah.
Or you just coach football and recruit.
That's
and,
all you do.
It was great, and I really, really enjoyed that. But, the opportunity opened up so close to home, and, I put in for it, and, was fortunate enough to get it, and actually interviewed for that job at the age of 24 and coached my first high school game as a head coach at the age of 25. And,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
just feel extremely fortunate and blessed to be able to do that. And, the doors opened, and, good Lord put me where he needed me. And, as they say, the rest is history. And, I've been at Crockett now about, 14 or 16 months. And, it's been a great journey so far.
Absolutely. Now, and on that incredible journey, was there any moment that you decided, I think I want to be a head coach? Is that something you had in the back of your mind, from the beginning, or did you kind of come into that as you went on?
Well, I think all assistant coaches, at some point in time, in the back of their mind, they're thinking of, things that they would change or ways that they would go about doing things a little bit differently if they were in control, and that, that even started with me when I was at Wise, even as a student assistant. Of course, I thought I knew everything. I didn't know school. I didn't know nothing, and was fortunate enough to learn from some very good mentors during my years at the college ranks. And, I have a lot to be thankful for under those guys. And, Coach Dewey Lusk is the coach that recruited me, and I played for and coached for at Wise and Bluefield. And then Coach Dino Cackless, he was the defense coordinator for us at Wise and Bluefield. And those guys have over 50 years of coaching experience combined, and was extremely fortunate to learn a lot from them. And, I even relied on those guys, through the interview process at Crockett about becoming a head coach and, just tips and things like that. But to answer your question, yes, even when I was playing in high school, just the fact of being on the sideline, on a Friday night as a head coach, and, it just didn't get any better than that. And, of course, when I took over the job, they told me that, about 80% of the stuff that I did from the day I took over to game one would be, nothing to do with X's and O's. And I thought they were, I was like, there's no way. And they were 100% right.
Yeah.
People don't understand all the other stuff that comes with it. But, at the end of the day, when you see those smiles on those kids' faces walking off the field after a victory, it all makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more head coach Hayden Chandley with Crockett football right after this.
Hey guys, this is Natalie, and I hope you all are enjoying this episode of the Coach's Office. I'd love to have you tune in to my show, Classic Throwback, where I talk all things retro and pop culture. Find my show on your favorite platform and hit the subscribe button. And check out my website, classicthrowbackpodcast.com.
And we're back inside the coach's office with Coach Chandley of Crockett football. Coach, you kind of took over in a weird little situation after a weird year at Crockett. Was there a time when you jumped in and said, "Oh, I'm now the head coach. I'm not the assistant anymore. I'm a head coach"?
Yeah. So, you look at the time frame about, when I got hired was, right around mid-April. And, most coaches, when they take over a new program, you've got 6-7 months to prepare and, kind of get in, lay your foundation of what you want. We had 1 month. We had less than a month, and we're starting spring practice.
Yeah.
And I like to tell the story. We started spring practice in May last year with 27 players and 4 coaches.
Oh, wow.
Is all we had. And, I guess that moment was then, just looking at, what we started with and where we got to, just it still amazes me every time I think about it, just the amount of trust and effort and, moxie, I don't know what you call it, that those kids were able to have, coming in, a brand new coach. They didn't know me from Adam, to put their trust in a 25-year-old and a brand new staff that they had no idea who they were, to buy into that and what we wanted for the program and to be able to succeed like we were, couldn't have happened without that. And that's anywhere, you got to have the kids to buy into what you're trying to do. And they were able to do that. But that moment was definitely, we stepped on that practice field. You think of a 5A program, you think of, you should have quite a few kids out there.
Yeah.
And a funny story, we didn't play one game last year on our schedule that we dressed more than the other team.
Oh, gosh.
And we played Hampton last year, a single A program.
Wow.
So, it's getting a little bit better. Winning will help that some, but I think numbers are down across a lot of programs in the area. But just to come from where we did and starting that first spring practice with 27 kids and 4 coaches, and that was definitely that moment for me.
Yeah. So we haven't written this question down. I just something I wanted to pop in there. But what was the first game like for you, taking over as a young guy? 20. You said 24.
25.
25. What was the first game? First game as head coach.
Well, it was probably the ugliest game we played all last year. And, me and our receivers coach were actually talking about it there last week. The playbook that we have in now and had in at the end of the year compared to game one is incredible.
Yeah.
We had maybe a fifth of the playbook in week one just because of timing.
Yeah.
We didn't have time and to put in all the stuff, taking over with such short notice. Week one, we played Seymour and ended up getting away from them 21-7, one of our lowest scoring outputs of the season. And then, we kind of took off from there, but it was a struggle. His first game as head coach, first game as a play caller, and the kids are trying to get adjusted to the way we're calling plays and, new playbook and things like that. And, bit of an ugly game. But, fortunately, we were able to, come away with a few plays there in the second half that made the difference. But, I guess the first quarter, ended 0-0, and we had kind of been in the red zone and not capitalized. And, first play of the second quarter, they hit an 88-yard touchdown on us. We're in man coverage, safety gets beat, and next thing you know, it's 7-0. You're looking around like, it's time, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't scrimmages and this isn't practice anymore. We got to go.
Yeah.
But the kids responded well, and we were thankful to get that first one out of the way. And really played well from then on. But that first one was a little bit of a whirlwind, but, just thankful to anytime you get a win week one, you'll take it no matter how ugly it is.
Absolutely. Now, with your journey and everything that you've taken in, and then, of course, now being a head coach and kind of taking that all in, do you have any advice for a young coach just getting started, any words of wisdom for somebody like that?
I just always, keep the kids' interests first. What's in their best interest. You're going to be dealt with some situations that aren't ideal, and that you got to make a tough decision. My big thing is I always bring everything, try to bring everything before my entire coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I hired those guys for a reason, and I want their input on majority of things. And then I bring a lot of things to our captains. I really think it's important to get the players' input.
Absolutely.
If you make your decisions all based on only what the coaches see, you're not getting that from the player, point of view, because there may be things going on behind closed doors that you don't see that the players do see. And I just think it's important to be able to trust your captains, lean on your captains. And, I've done that in like I said, the 14 or 15 months that I've been at Crockett. And leaned on my coaching staff. And I believe that's super important. As a young coach, you've got to have coaches that you trust around you. It doesn't matter how small your coaching staff is, but you got to have guys that will go to bat with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was putting together a staff, we only have 6 coaches on our entire staff. But there's 6 good ones. And that's counting myself. I mean, they're 5 good assistants, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. We didn't make any changes from last year's staff, and I think we've got maybe room for one more. But we like the group that we've got, and we've got a good foundation laid. So I would say the most important thing is just having that trust with your assistant coaches, and then also just do what you want to do. Don't listen to everybody. Oh, you should do this, or your players. Do what you want to do and what best fits your team. And coaches come all the time to the high school ranks that want to throw the ball over the place. Well, not everybody's going to be able to do that.
Yep.
And you've got to adjust to what your kids, what you're dealt. It's not like college. You can recruit what you want. High school, you kind of got to play the hand you're dealt.
Yep.
So that's definitely two pieces of advice that I'd give.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. You really lean on assistant coaches, especially around here in high school.
Absolutely.
They're the ones mainly doing the most teaching with individual groups. So you definitely want to get trustworthy guys. Yeah, so that's good advice, Coach. We're going to come back right out of a break from Crockett football head coach Hayden Chandley.
The coach's office is now looking for a title sponsor. Your name would be over the whole entire show, or commercial sponsors. If you or someone you know owns a business and would be interested, please contact us either on Facebook, on Twitter, or through our email, thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of the coach's office. All right, we're back inside the coach's office with Crockett football head coach Hayden Chandley. Coach, talk about, you guys are coming off of a special season. Talk about what makes a quality football program, and then, you got thrown into the fire right there. How does that translate onto the football field in making a quality football program?
Yeah, so first and foremost, you got to have the buy-in of the kids. That starts with the relationships, being built from the start. And, it's just winning them over and letting them know that you truly do care about them, and them knowing that. Yeah. Because if a kid knows that you truly care about his well-being and, the becoming of a young man, they're going to be a lot more likely to buy into what you're trying to do. And our kids, did that exceptionally well last year when we took over the program and, just tried to start building those relationships early. And the kids did that, and they know that every one of these coaches would do anything for them. Yeah. We take them to camps and, come pick them up if they need rides, whatever it is. Our coaches do a great job of reaching out, and our kids know that anything they need, they could ask a coach, and he'd be willing, more than happy to do that for them. But, and we also try to instill this summer, we did a new thing on Tuesdays, and, before dead period, we called it Transforming Tuesdays. We would lift and do our running and things like that. And, the last 30 or 45 minutes, we would teach the kids a life skill, or a life lesson or something like that. And, 1 week we changed the tire on a vehicle, and 1 week we learned to tie a tie. The next week, we did maybe jumper cables on a vehicle or something like that.
Yeah.
Just how to shake a man's hand. Just how to introduce yourself properly. You look somebody in the eye when they shake their hand, and just simple things like that go a long way. That might seem funny to some of those kids, and it probably does, and maybe even to some people listening. But stuff like that goes a long way, and some kids never get any direction like that. We just feel it's important that these kids know that there's life after football.
Absolutely.
And at some point, the game's going to be taken away from you, whether that's injury or, age or, even guys in the NFL, at some point, somebody's going to look at you and say, you're not good enough anymore,
Yep.
Whether that's after high school, whether that's after college, or whether you play a 15-year NFL career. At some point, somebody's going to tell you that you're not good enough anymore, and you've got to have something that you're going to fall back on. So we believe in, teaching the kids life lessons and doing things the right way, and, helping transform, these kids into young men.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we also try to do some of that stuff. And in today's culture with, a lot of broken homes, some kids may not get that. And that's really cool that you guys are doing that so they can get that. If they don't have a father figure, you guys are kind of stepping up. That's really cool. So anybody that's been around East Tennessee kind of knows about the Crockett program, not necessarily known as a perennial winner. I think we all can attest to that. But in the past couple of years, it's been kind of up and down. Can you talk about what it takes to create a culture and more importantly, the culture you're bringing to the program? I think one of the things you talked about, win the kids, I really like that. Could you talk about the culture that you want to implement at Crockett?
Yeah, absolutely. Taking over the program and, a little bit of up and down like you spoke to. And, my whole thing is when we came in was, we got to put the past behind us and move forward. And, we can't control the past. And, my big thing was I know they got tired of me saying it, but, we got to control what we can control and move forward. Think about it in the course of the game. You can't control what the referees do. Yep. You can't control what formation the offense lines up in, the opposing offense lines up in. You can't control the weather, but you can control your effort and your attitude. Mm-hmm. And, same thing with the situation. You can't control anything that happened in the past. You can't control what other people on the outside say. We got to block that out and move forward and focus on us with great attitude and, always playing with great effort. And that was what we preached, from day one when I took over the program. And, kids done a great job of doing that. But like you said, just establishing the foundation and, the program moving forward that we want, doing the right thing all the time. I know, like I said, that sounds cliche, but we preach that. And, we've got a rule where we don't say the word yeah. I despise that word. Yeah. I think it was from going through basic training. We weren't allowed to say that word, and it just kind of stuck with me. Kids get in a habit of saying yes, yes, sir, no, sir. That goes a long way too.
It's pretty cool.
And they know that we demand their best every single day. But if you're going to do that as a coaching staff, if you're going to demand the best every single day from these kids, and they're going to bring it, and they're going to come to work and work hard every single day, you got to take care of them too. And, I take care of the kids. I, buy them all kinds of shirts and equipment and stuff that I can. And they know that we truly care about them and are going to take care of them. But we also demand their best every single day because, there's a standard now in Jonesboro that's been set, and that's going to be the standard, and the foundation that's laid is going to be the standard, from here on out, as long as I'm the head coach at Crockett. And, that's going to be, playing with great effort, playing with a great attitude, and, everything else is going to take care of itself. And we can't control anything else, but we can control those two things. And that's what we try to do is focus on those two things and, let the chips fall where they may after that.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you said, you're changing the mindset in Jonesboro, certainly. And after a year like last year, that certainly helps your cause and everything that you're doing behind the scenes and on the football field. And that's really paying off for you. And so, now that you're the head coach of this program and you're really leaving your mark, what makes this Crockett football program so special to you, and what do you see for your team going forward?
Yeah, it's just the hometown feel of, playing at Crockett. And, as you mentioned, Crockett had never been known for, a perennial powerhouse, in years past or things like that. We were fortunate enough to win the first playoff game in school history and first conference championship in school history, just a number of different things. And that comes from, just the commitment from the kids and like I said, the buy-in and, belief in that foundation. Because it's one thing to preach it and believe it as a coach, but it's another for the kids to take hold of it and put it in action.
Yeah.
And they did that, to the best of their ability. And we're just so proud of the way they did things and represented their community, on and off the field. But just the support, that we received, student body, administration, faculty, the community, just as a whole, as that season just kept on going. I mean, even up to our last week there when we went down to Knox Central and played in the quarterfinals, we had as many fans as they did at the game.
Wow.
And that just speaks to the people that were on board with us and supporting us, and just the support group is unbelievable. And, I'm sure you guys may have heard about it. But that crowd that was at that Musket Bowl, at the Musket Bowl, there at home, week 9 was pretty unbelievable and pretty remarkable. I know there were some pictures going around social media, like the parking lot, and people, reporters told us that it took them 2 hours to get from downtown Jonesboro to the stadium is just unbelievable. I mean, it was senior night, and you had people parking half a mile away and running just to get there. It was just incredible that the stories that you heard, and probably one of the biggest crowd that I've ever seen at a high school game in person for around here, and just unbelievable the amount of support that was received. And going forward, we've challenged this year's seniors and leaders, to continue that. Because last year, nobody expected you to be as good as you were. Yeah. This year, everybody's going to be expecting you. Now everybody this year's got you circled on the calendar, where last year they probably didn't. So that's a challenge that we've presented to this group to uphold that standard and bring it every single day, because that's what it's going to take to keep us where we're at.
Well, absolutely, Coach. Well, you're doing a spectacular job there in Jonesboro, and we wish you all the best of luck this season. And we'd like to thank you for being in the coach's office today.
Guys, I appreciate it, and thank you for what you do and trying to get exposure out for these kids and these programs. And best of luck with your show, and thanks for having me on again.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
you,
Coach.
And we'll be back to wrap this thing up right after this.
Matt and I would love to hear from you inside the coach's office. Join us on Facebook at the coach's office or on Twitter at coaching_office. Tell us some topics or things that you'd like for us to discuss on upcoming episodes. Also, if you're on Google or iTunes, go ahead and hit the 5 stars. Now, it's time to head back inside the coach's office.
Well, that's all for this episode of the Coach's Office. Again, we'd like to thank Crockett football head coach Hayden Chandley for coming in, and we wish him and his Pioneer football team all the best of luck this coming up football season. Make sure you check us out on all our social platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, coaching_office, and on our website, thecoachesofficeshow.com.
And again, thank you to Coach Chandley, for Matt Ripley and myself, Kyle Donahue. Thank you for listening. If you're the last one out, turn off the lights and lock up the gate.
This has been a presentation of the Coach's Office, produced by Quotable Productions.